right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Rainy night. It's soggy now, but changes come in time for the weekend if tonight's rain moves out before Friday morning's rush hour.
Our top story: beaten, held captive, and forced to work.
They beat them with their fists. They stomped on them. They kicked them.
3 men are now charged. Tonight, team coverage of the tip that led police to a St. Charles County home and the victim's cries for help that went unheard until now.
Saying that he was being abused, and if anyone said anything, they would kill his parents in India.
The victim was rescued yesterday at a home in Defiance, Missouri. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. It's a story we first broke last night at 10. This is exclusive video of one of those 3 men being taken into custody yesterday afternoon. Investigators say he promised to sponsor his 20-year-old cousin, a college student from India. Instead, he and 2 others are accused of extreme abuse, starvation, and human trafficking. Brent Solomon kicks off our team coverage tonight with more on the tip that brought investigators to that home and the influential business and political ties of the main suspect. Brent?
Mike, this case came to light when someone saw the victim at a restaurant and noticed something wasn't right. That person gave the victim his number. A few days later, the man reached out saying he needed help. Police got involved and learned the 20-year-old endured humiliation for months. Only 5 on Your Side is there as police take 37-year-old Venkatesh Reddy Saturu into custody. He's considered the ringleader in a brutal human trafficking case out of Defiance. He, along with these men, 27-year-old Nikhil Pinmatsa and 23-year-old Sarben Penumecha, now accused of horrifying crimes.
They beat them. They beat them with their fists. They stomped on them. They kicked them. They beat him with a electrical wiring that they had put together in order to beat him. They beat him with PVC pipes. They forced him to sleep in the basement, of unfinished basement. They starved him.
The 20-year-old victim came to St. Charles County from India on a student visa under the impression he'd attend college. Instead, he was held captive and forced to work for free while being given very limited food. According to documents we obtained, the victim was locked in an unfinished basement and had to plead to be let out. The victim was observed trembling uncontrollably, heavily scarred and swollen, with bruises covering all parts of his body, from his hairline to his feet.
So Saturu would actually sometimes call the other 2 defendants in this case and have him beat him over a light, feed him so that he could watch it. And if he didn't hear the guy, our victim, in screaming in enough pain, he would have him beat him harder.
The victim never went to police. He was told if he said a word, his family in India would be killed. Now he's safe and on the road to recovery.
We took him to the hospital where he is confined as we speak now. He's still hospitalized from his injuries. He has numerous broken bones in his hands, in his fingers, in his toes, broken ribs, broken nose.
Court documents suggest the suspects are wealthy. The ringleader has an IT company and is believed to have major political connections overseas. One website describes him as a warrior with what the U.S. Library of Congress describes as a centrist nationalist political party. The site says Saturu formed and runs a task force to protect people from a previous Indian regime.
This troubling case has gripped many in the tiny community of Defiance.
Robert Townsend continues our team coverage with new information he's learned from neighbors tonight.
This is one of the St. Charles County homes where these 3 men are accused of assaulting, torturing, and holding a 20-year-old man captive in the basement for months.
It always seemed like the house was abandoned. There's never anybody there that you can tell.
The house on Highway D is right next door to a daycare center and down the street from the Double D Market and gas station in Defiance.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because I would never think anything like that would happen out here.
Chris Duell is a clerk at the gas station. He says in the past week, the male victim came to their business a couple of times.
He was skinny, looked like he hadn't been fed, and over a year almost.
Duel says he and his co-workers gave the man free food. A few days later, he returned.
He looked calm, but a little scared. He had a bloodshot eye. I believe he drove up here.
Duel tells me the victim came inside their store on Saturday night. He says he walked in, bought a sandwich, and then left. He also says the man was by himself. Did he say anything?
All he said is he asked if I can help him with some food.
Chris cannot forget the chilling chat the guy police found on Wednesday had with his coworker.
That he was being beaten and no one was allowed to say anything, otherwise they would kill his parents in India.
Really surprised to hear that. It's kind of unbelievable.
In Defiance, Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
And a local group that works with children who've experienced all types of trauma says the citizen who noticed something wasn't quite right with the victim and contacted authorities did the right thing. The Child Advocacy Center says our inclination is to believe the good in people, but if you see certain signs of abuse, your gut is usually right.
A lot of times we say look for those things that might make someone vulnerable, because what we know in trafficking situations that those that are doing the trafficking are exploiting those vulnerabilities and making those individuals filling that need, filling that void for them so that they can ultimately exploit them in whichever way they choose to do so.
Robbins says some of the more outward signs would be if a person has injuries they're trying to hide or a certain demeanor. She adds most of the trafficking cases they encounter involve victims who know or are related to the abuser. 5 on Your Side was the first to break this story and will continue to bring you the latest developments both on air and on KSDK.com and the 5 on Your Side app.
Right now, a soaking rain is falling on St. Louis and causing slick roads. Here's a look about 30 minutes ago of a crash along westbound I-64 near Boyle Avenue in the Central West End. At least 2 people were hurt. This is one of several crashes tonight. The rain is falling across the entire region tonight, but will it be done by the time you wake up in the morning? Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is tracking the timing in his Weather First forecast.
You know, the timing on this, Mike, has been generally favorable. The heaviest rain held off until after the evening rush hour, of course, but we did have some accidents and still do have a few scattered around the region as folks don't necessarily reduce their speed as they should on those wet roads right now. So you're looking at it, Lambert. Few flight delays. Certainly that potential exists here through the evening because this is a pretty widespread area of rain, not just for us, but it stretches all the way down to the Gulf Coast. We do have rain across most of the metro area here into North St. Louis County, back into St. Charles. You're looking at a fairly steady, mostly light rain. We've had about 1/4 of an inch in St. Louis proper, but there have been spots with a little more, and there is more on the way. See this area down towards Rolla, it is increasing. So as we head through the remainder of the evening and overnight hours, another widespread batch of rain coming through. The thing is, the back edge of that steadier rain should be lifting out of here early tomorrow morning. So most of tomorrow morning's rush hour doesn't have a lot of steady rain, but maybe just some scattered sprinkles and some areas of drizzle and such. We'll see in a few minutes. We'll talk more about the weekend and the changes coming this weekend, Mike.
And remember, you can get the Weather First forecast anytime. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355 and we'll send it straight to your phone. New tonight, 2 people, including a 15-year-old boy, are recovering after a shooting in North St. Louis. This happened around 4:30 this afternoon on North Kings Highway near Thekla. A 35-year-old woman was shot in the chest. She was taken to the hospital. Her condition is not known. The teen suffered a graze wound. We're still working to find out what led to the shooting or any arrests.
Just hours from now, changes are coming to medical care at the City Justice Center. The City of St. Louis has signed a 1-year emergency contract with the nonprofit Physicians Correctional USA. The contract goes into effect tomorrow. The city is suing the jail's previous health care provider, Horizon, which filed for bankruptcy. The change comes in the wake of 3 inmate deaths in recent months and a push for more oversight at the jail.
Financial problems have been rumored for weeks at Fontbonne University, and tonight the university is announcing major cuts.
This includes faculty, staff, and degree programs. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barcheski is here to break down what all this means for students. Laura.
Mike and Kelly, Fontbonne announced 21 total degree programs and 19 faculty positions have been cut, but it won't be happening right away. Fontbonne University St. Louis and Clayton announced Thursday in a statement it will start cutting degree programs, faculty, and staff positions after the spring semester next year. University President Dr. Nancy Blattner said, quote, "While these adjustments are regrettable, I acknowledge the dedication and contributions of faculty and staff members impacted by these changes. I'm grateful for their unwavering commitment to serve Fontbonne students." The university has just under 1,000 students enrolled, and the university statement says affected students will not be suddenly dropped from their programs. They'll have individual reviews to decide what's next. Clayton Mayor Michelle Harris says the university has a special spot in Clayton and in her family, as her daughter is a graduate of the social work program, which is one of the programs that will be dropped.
I have complete confidence that Nancy Blattner will be doing the right things in order to ensure the financial security of the university.
The university says the cuts are estimated to save them more than $2 million, but they're currently in the red more than $5 million.
I think everybody is concerned about all these private institutions. We look around us and we look at Webster University and then other institutions that are outside of our city. I know that trends on incoming students are declining, and all of these private universities are going to have to figure it out.
Mayor Harris says the city of Clayton will do what it can to support Fontbonne.
I certainly would welcome those conversations from the university.
A few of the eliminated programs will include art, religious studies, early childhood special education, and global studies. You can find the full list and university statement on our website, ksdk.com.
St. Louis violence interrupters accused of committing crimes, not preventing them.
It's unfortunate.
Tonight, the I-Team compares the program with others across the country to see if it's still working. Welcome back, Yadi. Yadier Molina is returning to the Cardinals. His new role and the reason you may not catch him at Busch Stadium.
The first few hours of December pretty soggy, but are we making the switch to a more active pattern for the month ahead? The 10-day forecast reveals some clues in 6 minutes.
Tonight, 8 more Israelis held hostage by Hamas are free. They were released in exchange for 30 Palestinian prisoners. The latest swap did not involve any Americans. It took place on the 7th day of a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. But there was more terror despite the truce. Hamas gunmen killed at least 3 people waiting for a bus in Jerusalem. Several more were injured. The gunmen were shot dead.
The lawyers for the man accused of killing Cash App founder and St. Louis native Bob Lee are asking to move his trial out of San Francisco. Nima Momeni was back in court today for a hearing to set a trial date. Instead, his defense team filed a motion for a change of venue. They argue their client cannot get a fair trial because a local newspaper published a photo of him in his jail cell. Lee, a Lindbergh High School grad, was stabbed to death back in April.
Tonight, new criminal charges against a city worker who's supposed to stop crime, not spread it.
Our I-Team found it's the second time someone with the city's violence interruption programs has faced their own criminal charges. Christine Byers went to the people to charge to ask if the model to prevent crimes is still working.
We approach from the standpoint that violence spread like a disease.
This is Jerome Williams in November of 2021, talking with NBC Nightly News about his work with the city's Cure Violence program.
And we try to interrupt whatever's going on, or at least try to mitigate what's going on.
7 months later, federal prosecutors say he destroyed evidence related to a murder in the city's Penrose neighborhood. Now, a second person working for a city program to reduce violence is accused of a federal crime. Prosecutors say Samir Simpson Bey knowingly distributed more than 40 grams of fentanyl. Police say that's about 20,000 lethal doses.
It's unfortunate.
Wilford Pinckney is the director of the Mayor's Office of Violence Prevention.
The key to this work, when you're looking at street outreach and people who are out there engaging people to try and prevent violence, is that you are going to engage and hire people who have that type of past.
Pinckney says Simpson Bey's work was different than the Cure Violence program, which started in 2020 and was replaced last summer. He supervised 3 people who connected at-risk people with resources here in the Clinton Peabody neighborhood.
These are people who have done wrong in community and now say, hey, I want to right that wrong.
Other cities like Baltimore, Louisville, and Chicago have similar violence interruption programs. The I-Team went to University of Missouri St. Louis criminology professor Lee Slocum to find out if programs like this are making a difference.
That's a great question, and I wish we had a definitive answer for you. The jury is decidedly mixed on this issue.
Slocum says that's because workers are hard to recruit and retain. Simpson Bay's salary was $57,000.
The job is very mentally taxing.
And
it's focused on a very small place, so it's hard to get the data to see if it's been effective in that place. And the evaluations tend to be short-term rather than long-term, so it's not clear if the program has a longer-term influence.
Pigney says the program Simpson Bay was part of is too new to evaluate.
Do you think this is the right model to follow, given the fact that you've had now 2 people that you guys are hoping will interrupt violence engaged in violence somewhat recently?
It is an extensive process for someone to get this job, so we're not taking it lightly, but we're looking for you to be able to go in the street and people who are engaged in that type of activity to listen to you. So I do think it's the right model.
Simpson Bay's alleged drug dealing happened months before he started working for the city in November of 2022, but he was indicted in October.
You know, they're walking around without a gun, without a bulletproof vest. They're putting themselves in harm's way. But we do expect them to abide by the law. We don't expect them to be out there engaging in criminality, and, you know, we make that clear. So that will not be tolerated.
For the I-Team, Christine Byers, 5 on your side.
Pickney also noted there are about 20 people doing the same type of work Simpson Bay was doing for the city, and they don't want their reputation tarnished because of his criminal charges. If you have a tip for Christine and the 5 on your side I-Team, you can leave a voice message at 314-444-5231 or email Christine. It's tips@ksdk.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell rejoins us now with that weather first forecast and rain. Scott, we needed it pretty badly.
Oh yeah, you know, it's been so dry. This has been a good rain too, because even though it's come down hard at times this evening in some spots, the ground's so dry it's just soaking it up. And you can see there's a lot of water on that camera down there in Arnold right now. Traffic's rolling along on Interstate 55, but yes, the rain continues in the Arnold area, all down 55, 141 here in northern Jefferson County. Estimates are that we're running about a half an inch in the area around Arnold right now. Most of the metro is looking at areas of rain sliding through, the majority of which is not all that heavy, but we still are watching this and tracking it through the region here as we head through the evening hours. Another surge coming our way from the west and the southwest, and that means we'll tack on more rainfall to what we already have in the rain gauge, so that totals end up for some of us around or a little above an inch. We'll take all that we can get. Some cases may not see that much, but the potential's there during these overnight hours early tomorrow morning before daybreak to hear a rumble of thunder. We go through tomorrow morning, and most of us aren't going to see a whole lot of rain. There's still some spot showers, perhaps through the mid-morning hours. Otherwise, the system will be pulling out, and as it does so, we wrap in some drier air behind it, and temperatures will go back into the mid-50s tomorrow afternoon. On the north side of this, we are starting to see a little snow, parts of Kansas. We're not going to get in on that as we head through the day on Friday. The colder air is well to our north and west, so if there's any snow, it's light amounts, and it's up into northern Missouri and heading on into Iowa. Let's go into your Saturday here. We're talking about a lot of clouds. During the day Saturday, it's cooler, temperatures only around 50, and we do expect to see a few showers later Saturday night, especially after 10 or 11 o'clock through the overnight hours drift through. There's a potent little system coming through. It is somewhat limited on the amount of moisture it has with it, but it will still squeeze out a few showers, and there'll be rain showers, just a little too warm for anything else. So as we go through the next 10 days, this is what we have going for you. Temperatures still mild on Friday. You know, right now we're running at 46, 47 degrees. Those temperatures not going to move much overnight as the rain settles in. We'll bounce back into the mid-50s. Some of us may get close to 60 south of St. Louis tomorrow. Most of the rain will be early, and the steadier rain should be gone before the rush hour. Saturday looks pretty quiet, more clouds than sun. Saturday night, early Sunday, maybe a shower. Most of next week is dry. Hanukkah starts next Thursday evening at sundown. Close to 60 degrees by the end of next week.
That was hard to believe.
We're up and down.
Yes.
Scott,
all right.
thanks.
Corey's next with sports.
Well, the Blues played a wild one at Enterprise Center. WashU soccer played for a trip to the Division III National Championship game, and the town of Hillsboro has history on its mind this weekend. Stick around, sports is up next.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
If you've watched the Blues this season, you know this team has the ability to score goals in buckets. Coming into tonight, Craig Berube's team had scored 47 goals in 14 November games, and they added a bunch more tonight against Buffalo. Nice moment pregame as the team honored new Hockey Hall of Famers, former coach Ken Hitchcock and former forward Pierre Turgeon. Nice moment here as well. Blues up 2-0. No better time to score than when your dad is being interviewed on live TV. Jake Neighbors gets the goal, and his dad gets a big smile. Blues let that 3-0 lead slip away to a 3-3 tie, and then they exploded. Kyrou to Hayes, 4-3. 24 seconds later, Braden Shen's going to come flying in for his second goal of the game. It's 5-3. And then in the third, the son makes dad proud again. Neighbors is going to get his second goal of the night and his 9th of the season to take over the team lead in goals as the Blues beat Buffalo 6-4. So how about Jake's recent play and his perfect timing tonight?
That's a guy that when he comes in your lineup, he can play anywhere, and he's getting a chance in the top 6 first line right now, and he's making the most of it.
Obviously, crazy timing, pretty cool. I don't think he really realized it was me right away, but it's a pretty cool moment.
For one team in town, the soccer season isn't quite over just yet. The WashU women are in the Division III Final Four looking for their second national championship. The semifinal game was tonight against Messiah, and it more than lived up to the hype of a Final Four contest. The Bears have only lost one game all year. One more loss ends their season. 2 more wins makes them champions. Great start. Merrill McKenna puts one on net. It goes off a Messiah player and goes in for a WashU lead. Messiah tied it before the half, but then it was the Sydney Connor show. Big save after big save into overtime and then into dreaded penalty kicks. No problem for Connor, though. She came up huge a few more times. Allie Hackett buries the game winner, and WashU will play for a national championship on Saturday against Cal Lutheran. It is state championship time in high school football in Missouri. On Saturday in Columbia, the Hillsboro Hawks will play Kearney in the first football state title game in their school's history. Their running back, Peyton Brown, has 33 touchdowns this season. That's the most in the area. And Brown and his teammates have electrified Hillsboro. This is a Hawks team that their town will never forget.
I think we'll have a pretty good showing. Our fans, it's a great community. They love their sports. We're a tight-knit community, and it's just really neat for our kids and for our fans and our community. I've seen these kids grow up since they were 3 and 4, and you, like you mentioned before, you're in youth basketball, you're in playing Little League baseball. To see that for those guys would be really awesome, and for a tight-knit group like that to bring it home would be pretty cool.
Some Cardinals news to get to from today. The Athletics' Ken Rosenthal is reporting that John Mozeliak may not be done with the starting rotation just yet. Rosenthal reports that the Cardinals have interest in White Sox starter Dylan Cease. Cease had a down season this year with a 4.58 ERA, but he was the Cy Young runner-up in 2022. Stay tuned. There was another Cardinals-related report today, but it didn't have to do with the active roster. ESPN's Enrique Rojas is reporting that Yadier Molina will not join the Cards' full-time coaching staff this season, but will be a special advisor with scheduled visits during the season. Rojas reports that Molina's long-term goal is to be a big league manager. Like we said earlier, a little bit of Yadi could go a long way.
And that big league manager dream will probably happen at some point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You got to think so.
Corey, thanks. Well, stop gobbling. The warning tonight, 1 week after Thanksgiving.
5 on Your Side is teaming up with the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition for the Little Wishes campaign. We still have more than 2,700 holiday wishes to grant for area children impacted by foster care. You can shop online or at Circle of Knowledge in Sunset Hills this Saturday. We have more info at ksdk.com/Little Wishes.
Thanksgiving was exactly 1 week ago, and if you're still nibbling on turkey, stuffing, and mashed potatoes, stop. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says you should consume or freeze leftovers by the Monday after Thanksgiving. Your leftovers will stay safe in the freezer indefinitely, but they won't taste as good after about 6 months.
That includes you, Scott Connell. A trip to McDonald's is going to be a trip back to yesteryear for Gen X and millennials. The fast food chain is bringing back its adult Happy Meal starting December 11th. The free toy will be the McNugget Buddies, which are returning for the first time in 25 years.
And Scott has one final check of this wet weather.
Yeah, the rain right now, we're looking at it area wide. It'll be moving out early tomorrow morning, and by tomorrow afternoon, it's just mostly cloudy, breezy. Temperatures will be in the mid-50s. Weekend, mostly dry. You have late Saturday night into very early Sunday for our rain chance, but most of the day on Saturday and most of the daytime hours on Sunday are dry. Temperatures about average this weekend, you know, close to 50.
But then you're saying at the end of next week, they're going to go up to about 60.
Yeah, it looks like we bounce back up to 60. No sign of really cold air at this point.
Well, there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Have a great night and a great morning. And don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis at 4 a.m.